Okay, I would like to invite all our previous speakers, this person, to join the panel discussion. Father Arokiasamy and Iswanti and Dr. Sunthorn. Can you join us? I think we have just negotiated with the kitchen, so we are going to have a lunch at 12:30.
Yeah.
So we have about 1 hour actually to have this panel discussion. I think it will be good actually to get some questions first from the participants from the floor. And I will. Any questions? Because I think Father Eamon just finished about Korea, so I'm sure that many would like to ask questions, but don't forget about previous speakers. Questions?
Yes.
Yes.
The first question is direct towards Father Edmund, and the second one is to Iswanti. Father Edmund, thank you very much for alerting the Church of Korea for in the religious dialogue. Not only the Korean Church, you have also alerted other churches in Asia, especially for our church in Myanmar. So. But as far as we realize, I think the journey of the interreligious dialogue in the church has gone quite a distance already. It is still on a journey. Of course, the example that you gave about the ball game, although the sense of dialogue needs a deeper depth and all. But the religious, for example, for the purpose of religious or interreligious dialogue, so one of the main purposes would be to remove the prejudices against each other and against religion, and that they have gone quite much already. And also, one of the purposes of the religious dialogue is to build the peace in the world, you know. That also we have done. So, in the end, Father, you concluded that we still need to go on a journey. But what I want to say is that we have much achieved as a church, when it leads in the religious dialogue among the world. I think we have to really appreciate what the church has been doing so far. I see also many positive sides that are way ahead. That's the one that I would like to comment on. Maybe another one that is one thing that I'd like to ask is I'd like to ask her what you're talking about, the patriarchal religion. Do you mean that the same as the Islam? Patriarchal religion, is it the same as Islam? Another one is the blasphemy law. Is it still existing in Pakistan? In Indonesia, not that much as blasphemy law. Is it existing in Indonesia? Then in conclusion, you said very abruptly, and you concluded that our religion is also a source of difficulties for women. Do you mean the Catholic Church? Do you mean still past or of the present? You said that our religion is a source of difficulties for women. Do you mean of the present also situation? Thank you very much.
I I just want to suggest to the speakers, we will take 2-3 more questions and then, yeah, maybe go for the response. Any questions? Any more questions? Okay.
Well, I think all the communications were very dense, so very difficult to digest. But kind of a question to the floor. I think, well, I like very much the to thinking in dialogue, no, and to have this theology of dialogue. I find a lot of wisdom there, no, and also in my case with the Buddhist community, I find a lot of light from the Buddhists to me, and to our Catholic community. So I am learning. I am a process of learning. But in the process of learning, I think sometimes we go with our needs and questions from our Catholic Church to the other churches. And we impose our problems. And we impose our dialogue, no? Our issues. What do you think about this? Do you think that we are pushing for something that maybe other people, other traditions, other religions, they are in another issues, not in dialogue. They are worried about other problems. And we are imposing our view, we're imposing our needs. And are we respecting them in our dialogue? Yes, I would like to hear you. Yes.
Okay, so maybe we will take one more question. This one? Sorry.
I'm sorry that it's always priests and bishops who are talking.
We will break soon.
But still, on the first day we had 2 Indians, on the second day we had 1 Indian, on the third day we are going to have another Indian. This is exploitation. But my question is really about to Father Arokiasamy. Interreligious dialogue was a big thing in India. But now it seems to be gasping for breath, It's as dialogue with other religions or even with cultures, it seems to be dying without some functional purpose. And so my question is really, can you say something about dialogue in India which has been going on for a long time and which now seems to be at a standstill? We've run out of breath.
So I think, yeah, we will ask our panelists to respond. Maybe, I don't know, in the order of the questions?
Okay. Yeah, I think one of the things that I don't think I would be meaning to say the church hasn't done well up until now. I don't think it's been perfect either, but I think it has changed a lot, and in some ways it's been a leader in many countries in interreligious dialogue. And I think that that's to be encouraged. But I don't think it's the end either. And I also think that the big thing, or one thing that strikes me the more I see, is dialogue has to be contextualized very much into each different country, each different culture. And I think we can only sort of look at it from that perspective. But yeah, I think the church has done well, but it has to keep going. And I think if I had a criticism to make, I think there should be much more, like the Pontifical Council for Interreligious Dialogue. I think and sometimes it becomes very centralised and can neglect local context, local situations. I think maybe if there was some more input, that's why I would think that somewhere like Korea, if it had more feedback to give, things might move to reflect the Asian situation more. I don't think it's very well reflected in things like the Pontifical Council. That would be that. And just to... Yeah, I think we can disrespect other religions by trying to impose our need for dialogue on them. I think that is one of the things, one of the reasons why dialogue has to be open. I think we can't come in and set the agenda. And it has to be open enough for religions to say, we don't want to dialogue. And I think we have to then, we can still learn from that religion. We can still work together. But not every religion, I think, wants to dialogue. Plus, the way they understand dialogue, like a Buddhist approach to dialogue vis-a-vis a Christian approach, is going to be extremely different. And I think if we impose our ideas on it, we are in some ways disrespecting that religion. And I actually take it one further as in saying, I think working together with other religions is something that it's very hard. I think it's almost a moral imperative at this stage for every one of us. But I don't think interreligious dialogue is a moral imperative for us. I think people inside a religion, if they come to mature reflection, say, I don't think I can do this, but I can work together to make society better. Well, do that then. But I don't think dialogue is something that everyone has to do or can do. I think we have to be careful.
Iswanti, maybe?
Thank you. Indonesia is not a religion state. Indonesia is a secular state. But the latest development is that so we have we have a national constitution, and now we have also regional or district regulation. So every province, every district, they can make also regulation. So what happened now is when some parties in the parliament, in the national and also in the district, these are from that we call that from majority, that they work together sometimes with this hardline. They try to push to pass some Islamic law, some Sharia law. This in the national and regional level. So in some area, some region that mostly are Muslim and a very strong Muslim, that it can happen, that they have Sharia law. But all of us know, the Indonesians know, that this Sharia law against our constitution, against our Pancasila. So now it's really big problem with us, with our constitution. So now this is really an uncertainty situation about this, all of this Sharia law. So between the pressure from the other side, from the Muslim, some Muslim. We have two big organizations Muslim in Indonesia. That's Nahdlatul Ulama and Muhammadiyah. It's Muhammadiyah. It's mostly from so the background is a scholar Muslim. So they want to practice Muslim as Muslim. But the Nahdlatul Ulama is more tied with our local tradition. But there is another lines, that hard lines, that try they with their interest to let this country into Islamic country. But now, because now our national leadership is very big, our president now is in a very, very weak position because lots of negotiation with these lines and also. So this makes issues, make us into wrong direction. So this is a big struggle for us. So, but this, as I say that this all Sharia law, it's like we talk about moral, the moral standard of the nation, the moral standard for women, but they never talk about what is a bigger problem in our country about social welfare. So it's like I say that we can become more and more religious morality with a moral standard, but actually this become more hypocrite. Because on the other side, the corruption is very big, very worse. That's the corruption. And so this is the situation now. So this is not in we are Islamic country now, as a Sharia law, as our law, no. But slowly but sure, it can happen if we don't aware of this process. So this is the situation. But women, whether Muslim women or Catholic women, with the same this patriarchal religion, such Muslim and Catholic and Christian, we have the same problem. We have the same experience. Of course, yes, Catholic, our church now is still patriarchal church. Don't you see the absence of women here? Don't you see the absence of women in leadership institution? Yeah, even don't you see we talk about theology of dialogue or whatever theology? That's there women not exist there. All the table about theological dialogue is about male, even like what you say. When all talking about, who is talking about the birth control policies when Indonesia, the population getting higher, and then all the bishops, they're talking about birth control, but no woman there. It's still happening until now. Maybe also this meeting will miss me also at Kwark. No, but yeah, you can, you're the only one. Oh, okay. So this is the real situation. I think that's why I talk about for women, the church, the religion, as source or part of the problem itself. So if you cannot solve this, so it's like you try to talk with other people, oh, this is good, but can you see in your own? How you treat your own daughter, how you treat your own women inside. Thank you.
I think Dr. Sunthorn, you would like to take one of the questions, maybe Bishop Anniki's question. Do our need of interreligious dialogue of Catholic Church impose to others, including maybe indigenous spirituality?
Yes, thank you. I think in case of among the indigenous people, I found that especially in my working area, I met one of the family. In one family, there is one pastor, one Catholic catechist, and also one Buddhist monk in a family. So every year they come back, the pastor, the Catholic catechist, and the Buddhist monk, and they come back together in the family, and they share their working. But this is at the family's level. But at the community's level, also among the the different belief worlds, they have very good cooperation together. In case of for the Christian, either Christmas on this celebration, and then also the Buddhist join, and Buddhist believer on the Buddhist one, they can join it. And it's at the village level. But in the national level, we also have in our diocese, we have an interreligious dialogue. But I think just in terms of forms, but in terms of joining activities, but they didn't go deep into the relationship in terms of sharing of relationships or something like that. But just only join the activity that was finished. In this case of in Thailand, but I think in I don't know. But among the indigenous people, there is still going on because there is a small communities. It is easier to do the relationship between religions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Before I come to the question raised by Father Desmond, I want also something about what Bishop said, Henry, are we posing and so forth. And you see, in all our country we are all pluralistic. We live with people of other religions. We rub shoulders with them in the workplaces, neighbors and so on. We take part in some of the meeting, the festivals they have, and they also, and so on. So they're all part of our, what you call, the origin nowadays called formally, we have given a name for this dialogue of life. It happens, goes on. Then what I want to say in all our dialogue, the interreligious dialogue, before interreligious dialogue there is something more fundamental. I pick up two levels of dialogue, two levels of relationship. First one, at the level of our humanity. We are fellow human beings. He is a Buddhist, he is a Hindu. Who is he? He is a fellow human being. How do you rate that human person? Respect, spontaneity of a welcome, hospitality and so on. You see, I go in my own village, wherever, even today it is same. And all the neighboring villages are Hindus, we are only Catholic village. But all the neighbors relate to us with another level of family relationship. So the man, for now, a Hindu, is the elder to me. I will call him as elder brother in my Tamil language, Annan. Annan means elder brother. Or his father is, I will call him, he is younger than my father, I will call him my paternal uncle, there is a name for it. And that is the way we relate. Does not mean occasionally we have a problem. That is problem that even within the family there is a problem. The one brother rises against another brother like a chain against the brother. That is that. But what if I come to look at the positive aspects are there already. So the first level of dialogue is the foundation for interreligious dialogue. How do we relate to each other, fellow human beings? And there we do not allow any prejudice to come in. Like either not only religious prejudice, or is a Hindu and so on. First of all, he is a low caste, for example. Or he is a very rich man. I am a poor man, and so on. Or he is only my employee, my worker. All this should drop in first level of dialogue. He is a fellow human being. And even great poet like Rabindranath Tagore had some situation which he himself has written down in his things. A fellow worker working under him, he comes one day very late. So he's getting angry, getting worked up. Great Amar Kavi, we call immortal poet of India or also Bangladesh and so on. And he comes late. And finally that fellow goes and sweeps the floor, he's cleaning the room and so on. He gets all the more. He came, doesn't even give an explanation for his late arrival. Then he shouts at him. And what's the, you come and what's it? Then man comes and looks up and says, Sir, my son died yesterday evening, my little son. I buried him and come back to work. It was a shock for him. For him, I was not able to see that I only went to my aquatic, I am a boss, I am a worker.
like that, what I want to say, the humanity, the level of humanity, you have to grow a lot. For me, every day I go for a walk morning, 4 to 5 I go for a walk. So many people, not really rich people, ordinary workers. Since we see every day, we greet it. They will greet me, Ram Ram. You see, God Ram. Ram Ram. I answer Ram Ram, or I say good morning, or some other word in Hindi. And we become friends. And so on. And they know each other. Something that follows responsibility. What I want to say is, first level, the level of that we are fellow human beings, at the level of humanity. Humanity, we are relational. Our humanity is relational. That without that foundation, you cannot go to the next level. There itself is a subject, not an object. And when you come to the religious belief, also he is a Hindu. Hindu is not, oh, I am a Christian, the good news, and you what you so. No, I know God is set to work. He is also a fellow believer. You talk about a fellow human being. Now when you see Hindu, he is a fellow believer. He is also a believer in his own right. I have respect. Before knowing what his content of belief, etc., I may know something of it. But the respect becomes spontaneously. The first level of respect for fellow human being flows into the second level of religious faith is a fellow believer. These two levels are this is the way we have to create a theology or what practice of dialogue. And that has to be promoted. And that's why in Indonesia, Cambodia, they are all people belong to Buddhist and so on. But a Christian who is working as a missionary, first thing is, they are all fellow human beings. They are my brothers and sisters. Before you think of the level of faith, it is at that level they recognize you relate to us as fellow human, respect us. It is at that level, tomorrow they will also come to you are a Christian, is a Buddhist. The way we come to the second level is going to be founded on the first level of interhuman relationship. It is that is going to set right the freedom they will talk to about their religion. In freedom we will talk because it is preceded by the basic level of recognition, respect, and the relationship. All these things are foundation. I have written an article precisely on these two levels of dialogue and the spirituality and how it is supported by our own faith, but that not even other faiths. Okay. Coming to the question raised by Father Desmond. Desmond, hello, you put your question to me.
I'm ready for the answer.
Dear Desmond. Okay, he is very sensitive to too many Indians are dominating God. In the meetings of different meetings of FABC, the people secretaries have to be very, very careful. The secretary is in Indian, he has to be careful not to invite too many Indians. He is the president of the whole of Asia. So you have to see the people from Bangladesh, Nepal, from Malaysia, Singapore, Korea and so on. That sensitivity is important. So we are following. Now he's asking whether what's happened to dialogue, intelligent dialogue and things. And there is something in what he says. Of late, I don't see much activity on the part of the Bishops' Conference. We have a commission for dialogue, intelligent dialogue. Formerly they used to invite me for something we nowadays don't see and so on. But I will not look at it very negatively. One important thing is, it has already helped a lot to good relationship, to a lot of prejudice. Tomorrow there is a crisis in the city, all people come together, work together. Tomorrow, for example, recently there was persecution of Christians in Orissa, and a number of the Hindus, Muslims, Swami, Agnivesh, all came together. They went together as an interreligious team to visit the place where there was persecution coming, praying together, all those things. The external, what I want to say, the formal activities of interreligious dialogue, you don't see much nowadays. And I also, my contact with that commission is less now. But what I am saying is, when there is, for example, we celebrate Independence Day. We used to have interreligious prayer service before Independence Day, the of Independence Day, and so on. Or even Republic Day and so on, things like that. But our Archbishop of Delhi, Vincent himself, when he took over as Archbishop, he made sure to have interreligious service before the installation of him as Archbishop in Agra. And now he's going to retire. He's 75 years old and he's celebrating 50 years of priesthood. We have already formed a group, an interreligious an interreligious group to celebrate, because he has contributed a lot for interreligious dialogue. In his diocese, promoting all those things. There's a committee working on it, how we can have a good in a public place, interreligious relationship. Some activities are there. But for me, the more important thing is our attitudes, how they change. Every day we are rubbing shoulders of this attitude. We have got out of all those things. We used to have a lot of jokes at the expense of, I'm talking about our little cultural or ghetto, cultural Catholic. We used to have a lot of jokes at the expense of Sikhs, the Turman. All sorts of jokes. Now no more jokes. Because we relate to them as well. Respect for them. Somebody said, all my stock of jokes is now depleted. You have put an end to it by saying this. What I'm saying is, attitudes change a lot. And that's very important in my view. And I want to say that I was associated with Bishops' Conference for a long time. I was 12 years as secretary there. So at the time, whenever the important meeting, general meeting, your always intelligence dimension will be there, and so on. It will become less and less formal activities. And also, Eamon was saying, we speak of, even the church officially speaks of 4 forms of dialogue that we know familiar with that. 4 forms of dialogue. Dialogue of life, dialogue of action, cooperation with common, dialogue of religious experience, and all those things. Pardon?
No, finish. Yeah.
Finish it. Okay. So what I'm saying is, that we have to promote all this. That. Okay. That's all what I would say.
Thank you very much, Father Arokiasamy. I think we are going for the second round of questions. I'm going to give first priority to sister. I think this is Iswanti's sister. Come.
Thank you so much. You know, my English is very, very poor, so
good.
I wanna.
Don't worry.
Korean. Please translate. 저는 사실 영어가 너무나 부족해서 또 점심을 안 먹고 가야 되기 때문에 제안 하나 하려고 그래요. 강의 정말 잘 들었거든요. 그 토창민의 삶이 얼마나 아름다운지 하느님이 창조하신 모습의 삶의 양식이라는 생각이 드는데 그거를 위협해도 안 되고 파괴해도 안 되고 근데 우리가 그렇게 살려면 너무나 어려운 게 많아서 정말 마음이 안타깝고 여자의 삶이 인도네시아뿐만 아니라 모든 아시아에서 특별히 그러나 서구에서도 여성의 위치는 굉장히 열악하더라고요. 이걸 깨부실 수 있는 하나의 계기를 마련했으면 좋겠다. 그게 제 제안인데 제 제안을 에이몬 신부님이에요? 아니면 신부님한테 하려고 그러는데요. 저 다음번에는 박사 황한테도 내가 말하고 싶은데 다음에는 혹시 이런 그 모임에 다른 종교들의 그 다이어로그 하는 그 장을 만들었으면 좋겠는데 그게 그만의 어떤 고소를 나누는 시간으로 서로 배울 수 있고 이해할 수 있고 조금씩 변화될 수 있는 공통된 주제를 잡으면 어떨까? 예를 든다면은 정의에 대한 각 종교의 관점이 무엇일지, 여성에 대한 이해는 어떻게 하고 있는지 서로 비판하기 위해서가 아니고 배우고 이해하고 이렇게 변화될 수 있는 첫 발걸음을 띄는 하나의 계기를 만들어서 각 종교에서 남성 스피커들만 모이는 게 아니라 여성 스피커도 초대를 해서 같이 듣는 그런 시간을 혹시 가지면 어떨까 이런 생각을 했거든요. 배우는 자세, 존중하는 자세 그것이 한 번 끝난 다음에 어떻게 될지를 관여하지 말고 그냥 씨를 뿌리는 그런 심정으로 첫 발을 저 신부님과 우리 신앙연구소라든가 여기서 함께 해서 내년에는 그런 모임이 있으면 참 좋겠다 이런 생각을 했습니다.
주님 이름이 Stella. Yeah. So Sister Stella said her English is very, very poor, which I don't think so. But anyway, she said that's why she spoke in Korean, and she feels that actually the sharing that Dr. Sunthorn shared about the spirituality of indigenous people is so beautiful and is really in the image of what God has created to us to live in harmony with one another and with the nature. But we have gone so far, and it's so difficult for us to go back to that spirituality. And so it's really very difficult actually to live that, even though we think it's so beautiful and idealistic. And also she see that actually the situation of women, what was shared by Iswanti is not only situation of Indonesia, but it's also situation of Korea and many other countries, including in the West. So what she proposed, that probably we need to suggest an initiative, and she made this appeal particularly to Father Eamon, that next time, if we could have this kind of forum, that this forum should be a forum with other religious communities, and especially with women speakers, to speak about very concrete issues or situations. 정을 뭐라 그러지?
Justice.
정의. So, for instance, like about question of the woman, gender, or question of the justice, we can choose that and to use this dialogue as a time to learn from each other, to understand better, and also to exchange about realities and practices. And it might not make many changes or big revolution, but we have to plant seed. So probably we need to start such an initiative as a first step of process to seed, and it might grow and it might not grow. So this is her proposal. Prakash, I think has a question.
Thank you. I have many questions, but I will try to make it short.
Make one.
One question. All are related, so all are related. Talking about the women's issue, we may also have to think about the Muhammad, Christ, and the Buddha were the male. I don't know how to take it now. And even the more gods in the Hinduism also are male. So I don't know how to talk about the women issue in the church or other religion. We really have to think about that also, maybe. That's my comment only, not any justification. Also about the first level of interreligious dialogue, I am a converted Christian from Hindu. So first I was Hindu, now I am Christian. So what Father says, first we talk about the humanity. Maybe we also have to take that kind of approach, because we always say Hindu, Muslim, Christian like that. But I was a Hindu, now I am Christian. Tomorrow the religion could be changed, but I cannot be changed from the human beings. I cannot be an animal. So I will be always human beings. So we always have to think that also, Father. And talking about the religion and the belief and the love of God and the rules of the community, the religious community, maybe we always try to preach the love of God by word, but by action we always try to preach the rules of the community. We talk about the rule, we talk about the law, but we do the rules. Means we will talk about the laws of the community, and in that case, sometimes it's contradict with the love of God and the laws of the community. Maybe how to address those things. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions? Sisters, behind. No question? No other questions? So we'll go.
Thank you for Sister Stella. And I have to, I feel I have to respond to your suggestions as an organizer. Indeed, I coordinate things, including logistics and busy with that. Well, it's still busy, but anyway, it is very difficult. It will be difficult to identify woman speaker from other religions too, not only in Catholic, but also other religions too.
Language.
He said,
Because of the language, there might be the woman speaker.
yes, of course, yes. Because of language barrier is very huge. It's much more we expect. So another difficulties for me to find the lay activist. I don't want the theologian to be here, indeed. Also male theologians. I want to have some activist, somebody who get in touch with or live with the people in field, in real life. So I think the past 40 years, this place is the evaluation, some kind of evaluation for the 40th anniversary of FABC, which declared a threefold or triple dialogue, the 40 years one. But what is the achievement? I don't quite sure. I'm not quite sure what is the achievement of FABC made so far in terms of interreligious dialogue on the level of the people. So what I'm doing is get the people. I visit the country, identify somebody like Iswanti, like the Father Sunthorn, Dr. Sunthorn, who is a current ethnic. You see, up in the Chiang Mai in Thailand, which is very difficult. I'm not defending myself. Okay. Okay. What I'm proposing is the. It's a very good suggestion to hold such kind of things. Is access to the thematic theme like justice and gender issues, and maybe next year. Yeah, I am thinking. So maybe materialize. I hope. Father Eamon and somebody else, Father Aro, to maybe how the church, Catholic Church or Christians as a whole, to encourage like lay people, women, especially women, to be involved in the level of life, not the hierarchical. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other question? Okay. I mean, there are only two male speakers still, okay, but we are very inclusive, so we don't try.
No, not question, but just sharing comments on it. So we come from the different background, different cultures, languages, and as a Prakash, so he's from Hindu, non-Christians. So I'm not converted, but many of my relatives, they are Buddhists. So my grandmother is Buddhist and converted, and so that kind of, we have what dialogue of life, as Father clearly said, the forms of dialogue. So we have this relationship dialogue of life. So as I experienced in the church in Myanmar, so what the church teachings, and it's also what I experienced up to now is from all the teachings. So under the guidance of our Bishops' Conference, and what we are doing is there is a lot of support from the conference. My own bishop himself, not because our bishop is here or a bishop, so the clear guidance and enlightenment, and And following all this also, I'm as a social worker, we can say we are working for the Caritas, development of the people, and so I would share maybe tomorrow my time. So this kind of dialogue, this Catholic social teaching is very visit for us. So we, based on this, now our Caritas in Myanmar is moving forward, and we could do a lot of enlightenment, a lot of insight from this teaching, and we are not only, as I told last night, the church is not only for but the church is with the poor, with the people. So this is a foundation of our dialogue. So our life experience is already, we are in dialogue with other religions, with other human beings, especially in the moment of disaster and emergency, and now these years and these days, even today, we are facing this. So we are working together to alleviate the sufferings of the people, the difficulties of the people. For me, from this point of view, so the church is with the people, the church is, we are the church, not the church is there as well. We are the church, the meaning of the church is the people of God. We are the people of God. So we are present here, we are the church, we are present as well, we are moving tomorrow other places. So this is the church. So I think I would like to stress on this. Church is not something far away from us. So we are the church. So this is my comment on it. So we should base on that. And from these discussion and also sharings and all these documents, we see God's salvific plan is for all. For all human beings, create our all. So this is our faith, it's credo. So this for all, and we are doing for all. This is very basic, and we are the church, and we should be based on that foundation of our faith. So thank you for that.
Thank you, people. Please come.
Thank you. When you're talking about interreligious dialogue, that means it's a dialogue in diversity. But the thing is, I realized, because I'm now working with the ecumenical churches, ecumenical spirit, so how we'll address this issue? Ecumenical churches, are we united? We are talking about that interreligious dialogue, but within us we have the many denominations. Are we united? And also we have the many differences among us. And I found that some of the denomination is very progressive in terms of the women's issue. Like the women's already have been ordinated in some of the denominations. They're giving the opportunity. So how will respond on this issue in terms of ecumenical spirit? Thank you.
어디요?
네? 스테라스는.
제가 조금 더 보충하고 싶어서 나왔습니다. 하나가 된다는 의미가 다 똑같이 된다는 의미는 아니고 종교적인 관점, 어떻게 지금 그 밑에서 우리가 고생하면서 억압받고 있는가 그런 상황을 설명하는 것이 아니라 그 종교적 관점을 듣는 기회를 갖자는 건데, 예를 들면 모슬림에서도 직접적으로 거기에 남자 스피커가 오면 여자 스피커도 우리가 초대를 하고, 부디즘에서는 비구도 와서 종교적 관점을 이야기할 수 있지만은 비구니도 초대해서 관점을 듣고, 여러 종교에서 스피커들이 와서 우리가 직접적으로 들으면 논쟁이 아니라 듣고 이해하고 그 종교의 관점, 보석이라고 난 볼 수 있는데, 왜냐하면 카톨릭의 보석이 사랑이라면 불교 같으면 자비고 모슬림은 모르거든요. 근데 이 모든 종교들이 서로 합심해서 사회적 구원, 이웃과 함께 손잡고 인간답게 살 수 있는 사회를 만들기 위한 운동을 각 곳에서 특수한 방법으로 나눌 수 있는 길이 있지 않을까? 그런 좋은 목적 가지고 한번 이런 기회를 내년에는 한번 만들어 보고 봤으면 어떨까? 이런 거여서 닥터 황 용기 가지시고 힘내시고 같이 했으면 좋겠어요.
So, Sister Stella, I just wanted to add a few more elements to clarify what she just suggested. So, she said, I'm not asking those speakers who will represent their religious view from their own religion, but even though a male speaker who can speak about an issue from their religious view, we can still always invite women practitioner or believer, for instance, Buddhist as Buddhist monk Munian, or from Islamic also faith, to share about how this is lived in their own religion. I don't know what 보석을 뭐라고 하니?
Treasure.
Huh? Treasure. So just is treasure. It's kind of how each religion lives their faith experience as a treasure to the common good and common humanity. So the space of sharing and understanding and learning each other is very important. So she really hopes that next year the Uri Theological Institute could provide such a forum or such a space of dialogue. I think because we are going to have just last round from our speakers just to comment about all those questions as well as some sharings which we'll put forward to you. I don't know who will start.
I according to the question raised by sister, that is the sharing about spirituality. That is this question is I always raise when I present about this spirituality of the indigenous people. We don't mean that we have to come back to practice our own lifestyle, but because even among the indigenous people, they don't deny the progress of science or the modern life, but they integrate both the modern technology or knowledge with their own local knowledge of the world. So I think this is quite important for those who are doing development work, how to integrate the values of the belief of the people into the materials, because the modern knowledge that emphasizes only the technology and skills but ignore internal values and spirituality. But I think this point, and also I was asked many times. But I think rather difficult for those who are living in the city. But I think maybe tomorrow Father Nipot will give more clarification about this, how to make what we call re-enchantments of the world. And this is maybe tomorrow Father Nipot will give more. Thank you.
This is what I learned from women as a group or other marginalized group like tribes, indigenous people and LGBT groups and so many marginalized groups that who is in the power structure. They will not willing to share their power. So what I learned from this marginalized group is that they have to fight for. They have to, the poor, they they have to struggle to fight for their own. So these people who is in the power, they will never share. So we have to struggle to fight for to us, not even to. Yeah, I think that's what happened with women also. So this is in the church or in the political level or in any. So we have to fight for in the. I think we cannot wait for that they will share the power. So I think we have to grasp, to struggle for it. Okay.
Thank you.
Okay. I suppose the most basic thing, I think interreligious dialogue doesn't guarantee success. I think we can fail. I think that's one of the things we need to know. Is like any relationship, it can break down. And there's always a chance. It's not safe. Relationships are never safe. And interreligious dialogue is the same. It can fail. We can mess it up. So if we go in with the idea, this is a win-win situation, that's not true. I think that's not a relationship. And the second thing that, I think the other thing is, if we dialogue, we have to change. If we actually dialogue with someone and we go away the same person as we were when we started to talk, then we haven't been dialoguing. Dialogue isn't the 10 minutes. You speak to someone, you have to go away and then internalize that dialogue. So it's an ongoing process that happens inside each of us. So I think there's a personal thing there as well.
Thank you. I don't want to add anything. So I think Arokiasamy doesn't want to add anything. I want to just take 1 minute to add, because I think this morning I said this section of this morning should be a process of healing, because I think this morning when I read that book, it struck me a lot. They said, because all those people who really would like to have a dialogue as a means to solve a problem, probably they have forgotten one thing. A very basic principle of engaging in dialogue is you have to start from your own expression. And I think probably one of the many concerns we shared is we have focusing too much about interreligious, interrelational, and that functional aims that we would like to achieve, maybe by forgetting very basic rule that dialoguing means I have to first express my honest, very sincere feelings and difficulties, joys, and probably all of us, we have not learned about those methodologies. And I hope that this morning section has helped you to learn some of those maybe skills and methodologies to go further in this intercultural, interreligious dialogue. So thank you very much to all of you, and especially to our speakers. Please give thanks to them. And
Moderator.
Thanks a lot. My blood was not coming to the brain. Enjoy your delivery.